It's difficult a lot of times to get recruiters return your phone calls because they're very busy, and a lot of times they'll get a lot of messages, and most of the messages that they get will be from people that they probably can't help. You will find a lot of times recruiters don't return your phone calls. The best way to get a recruiter's attention generally is to send your resume. And if you send your resume and you look like a good fit for something they're recruiting for, then they'll always get back to you. Another thing about recruiters is it kind of depends a lot of times on the size of the recruiting firm. We're a large recruiting firm and we have a lot of people answering phones and people that can get someone on the line to you and talk to you and people that can answer questions, and it just depends on the recruiting firm you're dealing with. A lot of times you may be dealing with a small recruiting firm of 1 or 2 people and they just don't have the energy to answer calls. They'll return calls from employers and they'll return calls from people that they're working with, but a lot of times they won't return calls from everyone. And then another thing is they're just so busy. It's impossible for them to return a lot of times phone calls. No, I mean, recruiters are always paid by employers. The fee is usually paid by the employer within a month or so after the candidate starts, or they may pay the recruiter over 6 months. The main thing about understanding recruiters though is recruiters will specialize in finding people that have kind of certain skills that are valuable to a law firm. So they can't work with every candidate. They have to find people that have certain skills that may be marketable. A recruiter can work with an associate that doesn't have large law firm experience. They can work with people at all types of firms. But there's really not much they can do with law students or people that have just graduated or people that don't have any experience. The reason is law firms are trying to hire people that have experience through recruiters and that they can kind of plug into things and make money with right away. So you typically need to have a certain type of experience that the law firm can use right away. And if you don't, then it's not in the law firm's best interest to hire you through a recruiter. Most search firms will do a little bit of in-house placement. We're unusual and then we only focus on doing law firms. The reason that we only do law firms at BCG Attorney Search is because there's so many law firms in every city. You can see that we've actually gone through, and if you look at the BCG site, we've actually ranked a lot of the law firms in most cities, and there's so many law firms by practice area and location, and it's extremely difficult to understand the nuances of law firms without having to get involved in doing in-house searches. If you want an in-house job, you're probably going to be working with a recruiter that may have one in-house job. There's always a lot of applicants for in-house jobs because people want to work for them because they feel the hours are lower and there'll be different pressures. You can work with recruiters finding an in-house job, just not us. Finding a recruiter that you trust is really similar to finding any other service provider. You should read testimonials on the recruiter's website if there are any. We always ask people that we've placed if they can give us a testimonial. We actually haven't always, but we started in the past couple of years. You can talk to your friends and see if they've gotten a position through someone. You can evaluate recruiting firms and see who seems the most enthusiastic and kind of the most on top of the market. And the people that you find that are like that are typically going to be the best people for you to work with. And you also want to work with someone you're comfortable with. So if you're comfortable with a recruiter, then law firms are probably comfortable with a recruiter also. So you want to be able to connect with them or relate with them when you talk to them. If you have a friend at the place where you want to apply and work, it may make sense to use them. In most instances, you do not want to use a friend if the friend is just like an associate or a contract partner or something, because you don't really know the status of that person within the firm. You don't know if the firm likes them, how well they're doing, what kind of pull they may have, and the law firm may be planning on firing that person for all you know. If it's a partner that tends to have a lot of business or has a lot of business and someone that's powerful inside the law firm, then you really should probably be using that person rather than a recruiter. That person will not care if you use a recruiter, but you're better off probably going through someone like that because they're going to have a lot of pull and be able to give your application a lot of weight. But using a friend to find a firm, to find a law firm position just because they work in the law firm isn't always in your best interest, because if the law firm has a problem with that person or has a problem with either you in the future, then they're going to taint both relationships, and so they don't want to do that. Trained lateral associates are very valuable to law firms, and so law firms really do not have any problem paying fees. I make placements at large firms, small firms, just firms of all sizes, so it doesn't really matter to almost every firm whether or not you're coming through a recruiting firm or not. One way to think about using a recruiting firm is if you're in Hollywood or you're an actor or you're a writer or you do anything, even small-time writers have agents, and In Hollywood, actors all have agents, and people that are marketable, and sports people, sports figures have agents. And so people that are marketable and have valuable skills almost always use agents, and a recruiter is an agent. And in the minor leagues, you don't use an agent, of course, but once you get to a level of professionalism where you have skills and so forth that are marketable, then almost everyone uses an agent.